Welcome to Coast to Coast with a limited lineup today. The great Hamish Brayshaw, no Oscar Allen, and yours truly Tim Gossage with you. Pretty obvious why Oscar's not here, H.
Yep. Yeah, the big fella's still reeling from the weekend. They're probably lucky to get away with it with just a concussion, to be honest, given the incident.
He was on and off and on and off, and he's off this week for Coast to Coast, but he has guaranteed us and all of his legion of fans that he will be back on deck next week.
Yep, for an all-access inclusive... exclusive, that's the word I'm looking for. An all-access, exclusive, behind-the-scenes look at how he's been going. It
was a strange disappearance, wasn't it? Because when he hit the ground last week, he sort of bounced up relatively quickly, and I thought, he's going to... And then he just didn't reappear after half-time, so it must have been in a bit of a bad way.
Yeah, it must have been in a bit of a bad way. I mean, I think... looking at the incident straight away, you thought, geez, this could have been a neck problem, this could be pretty bad. And I think the fact that he's bounced up, I reckon he must have just thought straight away, my neck's all right, I've broken nothing, I'm feeling okay. But concussions they can come delayed, they can come straight away. So I think he must have had a little delayed onset after half-time, just thought, must be seeing stars, can't do much out here. So fair enough, and the way the rules work, he's going to miss 12 days, so he'll be back, fingers crossed, after the bye for Richmond.
What did you make of the performance then, from an outsider looking in and, amongst the group, where you saw that second half fade out, in particular the last quarter, where they just couldn't, West Coast couldn't get the ball inside their forward 50. I think it was 22-6 in that last quarter.
Yeah, I mean, Essendon were good, and to their credit, they've been playing some pretty good footy of late. It's just a momentum thing. Like, you wrestle it back, and they get it going, and it's been the way the last 2 weeks that we just haven't been able to arrest that momentum. When teams get a run on against West Coast, it's sort of, it is difficult to stop. So that's something that has been addressed, and I'm sure it has been and will be addressed going forward. But yeah, the supply they had inside 50, it's all right. We've got such a dangerous forward line, but it's hard to score goals if the ball's not coming in there. So I think our midfield needs to get a bit more proactive. We've got to use the nick in the ruck. We've got that dominance. We probably didn't utilise that enough, I don't think, in the second half. Albeit he tried his best in the last quarter to get it going for us. He came out and was great in the start of the last quarter. But I think that momentum just wasn't able to come back on our side, so it worked out in the Bombers' favour.
Don't forget, you can always get in touch with us on all our social, of course, at Coast to Coast, and ask any questions of Oscar and Hamish Brayshaw, Hammer Brayshaw. Now, interesting, TK went down as well with a knee. He's going to miss about a month. Look, the numbers are starting to dwindle. It's a huge game against Carlton, but the numbers are really being pushed at the moment.
They are very much so, and not just any numbers, our A-grade stars, which is, every team has their injuries, but I think there was something in the paper about it the other day. We've got, I think, probably 5 of our top 10 players out at the moment. It's no excuse, but it certainly is the reality of the situation. It gives young fellas a chance to have a crack, which is always good. With the injuries that we do have, it opens the door for some young players to come in. TK out of the midfield does. There's a couple of young players that have been playing pretty well at waffle level, so potentially a debutant, potentially another young player coming back in, but you can't rely on those blokes to come in and have a massive impact. They come in, it's a nervous situation playing your first game of AFL footy, so you can't expect them to come in and impact like Tim Kelly does. So it's while it's no excuse that our players are injured and that's why we're not playing as well as we should be, it is the reality of the situation. So it definitely, the numbers sort of stack up and it gets to a point where you're sort of scratching your head at how things are going. But we'll fight on, we'll battle on.
Let's talk about some of those youngsters. We've seen Izzy Winder, of course, has played one game, got a small taste of it. Zane True's getting a bit of football at Waffle Eagles. Luke Edwards is getting some waffle ball as well. Tell us a bit about the positives of those players. Let's go with Edwards. I mean, what would he bring at the next level? What's he been good at Waffle Eagles?
Yeah, well, I mean, those sort of blokes, as you said, they all played really good footy. Izzy kicked 5 in his first game of waffle, so he was obviously straight up to it. Truey and Luke, they've been building into it. Truey's a real sort of fast, young, sharp player, gets plenty of the footy and is good at the contest. Luke, he's more of a senior body for an 18-year-old, 19-year-old kid. Like, he's pretty thick, he's pretty well set, and just uses the ball really well, does a lot of the fundamentals right. But then as well with the young fellas, you've got guys like Xavier O'Neill, who's played a couple of games, and he comes back and plays really well at waffle level. So, and Braden Ainsworth, he's played a number of AFL games. So there's all these sort of guys that the opportunity pops itself up, and I'm sure if any of them get it, they'll take it. But it'll be interesting to see the selection this week.
Yeah, may I ask you then, Elliot Yeo is one game back and played limited minutes, of course, but he's just going to get better for the run. Now, Simo has made it quite clear that he's not just going to be thrust into there, but at times he's probably going to have to play a bit more than they would want because of lack of midfield numbers.
Of course. Well, I mean, he came back through the waffle and played, I think, 68 minutes. And you can be, I mean, for those listeners at home who have played football at some capacity, I'm sure you will understand this, but you can be as fit as you want running. You can do a pre-season, you can do as much rehab as you want. I can go out there and run 20 kilometres and be fine. But as soon as you put a football out there and there's bodies around and it's contest, game fitness is just a completely different thing. So that's what he needed to get, and he needed to build back into his game. Hopefully, in an ideal world, he would have played 2 or 3 waffle games to really build that match fitness back up. But given the situation, he just had to come straight back in. So he's going to be building that match fitness on the fly. With him, he's a talented enough player that you can play him forward, you can play him back, you can play him midfield. So he's flexible in game in that regard. But with our injuries midfield, he's probably just going to have to, he might have to play a bit more than he should than he would have preferred to, and it'll be more of a fast track return. But he's a quality player, an All-Australian, a star of the competition, so he'll adapt and be fine, I think.
In a moment, we've got these, the Hammer Time votes. Just give a snapshot of where we're looking with the Hammer Time votes. Were they obvious?
Well, in my opinion, the 3 were obvious. I had a little bit of internal conjecture about where the 3-2-1 should go, but the top 3, in my opinion, were pretty obvious. I think I've said this before. It's not a midfield award. It's not player. You might watch the game on the weekend and see a player have 35 touches and think, oh well, he was clearly the best player on the ground. But if you've been at a footy club, you know what to look for. You look beyond just the stat sheet. So I look for impact on the game. I look for presence at big times and all the rest of it. So there's a lot that goes into it. It's not just looking at the stats after the game and picking it out. So I had a clear top 3, and then I have narrowed it down to a 3-2-1. But that was tricky. Yeah,
it's on the way. The Hammer Time votes, of course. The draft was held, of course, on Wednesday night. 2 new players to the footy club. One with a connection to the footy club.
Yes.
In fact, both have had a connection to the footy club.
One's a long-time connection. Yep.
And one who trained in the pre-season.
Yeah. So we had Will Collins, or Phil, if you would like. So he had a little train on through the pre-season, played really, really well, and I think he was pretty stiff to not. I thought he was a chance to go earlier in the year and come stick around, but he's gone back to Swans. Has been playing some good footy there, but he knows the system. He fits really well, and the boys get around him. The boys love him, so it was good to get him back. And then Connor West, obviously from West Perth, he's been playing some great footy. And gets his opportunity. You had a little interesting tidbit about the West family just before Goss.
A little bit bizarre. So I watched it online. I watched the AFL.com coverage, and it was a wonderful coverage by the crew, and they're very learned, the crew, of course.
Yep.
Kel Toomey and also Mitch Cleary.
Yep.
They know their stuff. And I let it settle for 15 or 20 minutes.
Yep.
And then I just took the rights to text Kylie, Connor's mum, and Robbie. And I've known Rob since he played for West Perth, won a Sandover, played AFL. And Kylie is the daughter of Grant Dorrington, long-time administrator. Yep. And just said, congrats, Mum, and then congrats, Dad. 2 separate.
That is just a kind thing to do, I would have thought. Yeah, 20 minutes after the fact.
Minutes,
beautiful.
I didn't rush in. And then Kylie responded, what for? And I went, Connor, what's he done? Drafted by the Eagles. Yeah, right, she said. Didn't believe me. And then there was no response in the messaging. And I thought, is she angry? I'm trying to work out, does she think I'm taking the... So I went, are you okay? Yeah. And she went, I'm at work in tears. I've spoken to him on top of the world. And Robbie, who's up north at Christmas Creek working in the mines, he didn't even know the draft was on.
Yeah.
Mum and Dad, close to their boy.
Oh, well, good on Connor for ringing his mum and dad straight away. But
I don't think he knew.
Yeah, gee whiz. It's got the bit of the Tony Alangos about it in 2017. He was watching a cooking show when he got his phone blew up. Oh, mate, you've been taken in the rookie draft. Oh, have I? Oh, there you go. Well, good on you, Connor. No, but he's been playing really good footy for
He's a tackling machine,
which
is what the footy club needs.
Yep, I mean, and with the injuries, those 2 blokes could be... I'm not sure what the go is with them being able to play straight away, but I'm sure they'll be... put their hand up as soon as they possibly can. So
it's a good story. I mean, Robbie played at the footy club and then went off and played it in Adelaide as well, at Port Adelaide. But he's really connected to the footy club. He won a Sandover medal here. And he tells a story that when he was in and about, young Connor was growing up, he went down into West Perth, underage, went to an under-12s, and they gave him a piece of paper. If you want to be the next stage, you've got to do this, this, this and this. And he came home and he walked past, he told the story on radio. He walked past the bedroom, the door would be closed, and and Robbie would sneak a peek in, and Connor would be planking. This is an 11-year-old planking, sit-ups, push-ups, chin-ups,
good on him.
arm curls. This was at 11 and 12. He said, so for all the hard work that he's done. And the other thing he also said was a couple of years ago when he first started at West Perth and was playing league footy and wanted to be drafted, and then maybe the opportunity went. Robbie said, mate, you need to eat chocolate and drink beers with your mates, and you need to chillax.
Yeah.
And ever since he's done that, he's played better footy, and now he's on an AFL list.
Yeah, good on him. And he's just thrust himself straight in the conversation for the best mullet in the comp. So good on you, Connor, and well done, Will.
Yeah,
good
fantastic. Looking forward to seeing what their futures hold in the game. Hey, Dreamtime, we saw that Essendon attracted crowd. They've got a wonderful support base here. Dreamtime on the Swan. I know it's not an Eagles game, but it's still great for WA footy.
Sold out like hotcakes. They were, it's going to be a massive game. I mean, the West Australian footy has got such a proud Indigenous culture, Indigenous history, and to be able to have this game at Optus, it'll be massive. Huge. I mean, already a sellout. There's going to be the light show. Everything is just the whole build-up around it. Hopefully they do a nice thing across the river with the bridge. And
yeah, they're doing the long walk, but so much interest in the long walk. It was going to start in the city, sort of Victoria Avenue.
A very long walk.
Yeah, but they've now made it start at the Wacker because of the interruptions to traffic.
Yeah.
And people in the city.
Yeah, so a little bit of a shorter walk, but yeah,
it's the long short
still
walk.
The long short walk. No, it's going to be just a massive spectacle.
Huge.
And if you've got tickets to the game, well done, enjoy it, because I think it's going to be one of the great games. And both teams, I mean, Essendon are in red hot form. We know how good Richmond are. They get themselves up for big games, and this is going to be one of the biggest. So I'm very much looking forward to watching it.
Ben Doolan, who now lives in Perth and played at Sydney and Essendon, has lived in Perth since 2003, married a Perth girl, runs massive bus company, employs 900 people. He's driving a bus up to Wiluna on Friday, picking up the 40 Indigenous boys who are coming down as an exchange with the Dalkeith Netherlands Eagles. They do it every year. Last year it was the Eagles to go to Wiluna. This year it's Wiluna to come. And they were going to go watch West Coast Waffle take on Claremont Waffle.
There's a better game of the day, unfortunately, lads.
Now got tickets for the Dreamtime.
Oh, that'll be special. Good on them. That's good stuff. I mean, yeah, it's going to be... I'm a bit disappointed I'm not going, but it is going to be a tremendous spectacle. It'll be a very good game of footy.
Have you been to Halls Creek?
I have not, but I've heard plenty about it. We had Frankie Watson was up from around that area, and Sam Petrevsky-Seaton and all those sort of guys that I've known a little bit of. So they're around there, and it's a very remote and in the middle of nowhere, but it's it looks like a pretty special place. But there's just so much. They all grow up with footy, and that's all they do. We've actually got a regional trip next week. We go up to Newman and then head out 2 hours into the middle of nowhere. And red dirt, they put flour around the ground to mark the boundaries. They're all running around in bare feet and kicking footies, and they live and they love it. It's their favourite thing in the world. They live and breathe it. So for those 40 kids to be able to come down and watch, it will be very special. Yeah, 6 currently from Halls Creek on the list. 9 in the last 5 years. Take out the COVID year as well. It's quite remarkable for such a small community to do. And they've got women's footy. They've got 4 into the AFLW. I think Alicia Jantz is from there. Alicia Jantz.
Alicia Jantz as well. So it is an outstanding effort for such a small town. It and Northampton probably vie for each other. And Cobden, probably another place.
I mean, I think with those Indigenous communities, though, you just have the Indigenous boys here tell us about it. Like, it's not uncommon for these kids to be there. Like, they're all guns. They're all so talented, but it's just opportunity for them to get to Perth and play footy. If there was enough resources and enough time to say, righto, how about all of you come down? There'd be the whole West Coast team. It'd be Halls Creek. So it's not uncommon to get these talented kids, but it's just if they can find their path and get the opportunity, then they're allowed. Then they blossom.
The whole competition. There's 11 teams in that competition, the East Kimberley competition. It's spread over 650 k's.
Oh yeah, that's a long way.
They hub down at Halls Creek because it's the best facility for games over the weekend. Irving Mosquito, who was at Essendon, he's now returned there to recover from his knee injury. Now, he didn't tell anyone, but he tried to put his hand up to play for Halls Creek last week. Got told, you are still on an AFL list, my boy. You can't do it just yet. So that's how keen they are to play up at home. So well done to everyone involved at Halls Creek, and I'm sure there'll be plenty more of those footballers coming into West Coast over the journey. They reckon there's so much talent. Talent is on offer. Claremont this week. You've got Claremont, a ready-made side who are very, very good. And with injuries to our senior team, that affects the Waffle Eagles as well.
It does, unfortunately. But we try our best to not focus on the injuries. We could potentially, fingers crossed, the 2 mid-season draft boys are allowed to play with us. I'm not sure what the clearance is looking like there, but fingers crossed. But yeah, I mean, I've said it before this week. It's about a system-based 4-quarter effort for us, and personnel aside, that's what we're looking for. I mean, we know what position we're in. We're not expecting to win every game, but if we can just be competitive and look for improvement, that's where we're probably at in our year. So I think we're not so much focused on the result. Obviously, we want to win, but just building that a base for the back end of the year is what we're looking to do.
All right, get down to Claremont Oval if you want to support our Waffle Eagles as well. We're doing the Coast to Coast podcast for the wonderful team at West Coast Health and High Performance. To Tex and the team over there, they do fitness classes. Look, ring West Coast Health and High Performance. They're based here at Mineral Resources Park. Get in, find out what they offer you. Fitness classes. If you've got an injury and you're dealing with it, you need physio, you need treatment. It is Tex and the team at West Coast Health and High Performance. They do a wonderful job. Give them a call or get online and see what they offer. It might be for you. Time for this. Alrighty, Hammer Time votes. And I think if we left the Hammer Time votes last week, the great ruckman was leading the way. I stand corrected on that?
You do stand corrected. Tim Kelly was leading the way this time last week. Yeah, he'd gone. He hasn't registered a 3-game performance yet, TK, a 3-voter. He's gone the 2-2-2-2. So his consistency is the key for him. So
he doesn't get a vote this week.
No, unfortunately he doesn't. He didn't do enough in the first half for TK.
He did plenty when he was on.
He did.
Unfortunately, it got cut short. All righty.
Okay, so I said before it was a clear 3-2-1 getters. Not sure what I had to figure out who got the votes there. So Aussie would be nice to touch on a bit of this stuff with. So I might just bring him in later on in the week, or next week, to touch on. We'll bring it back just briefly. But
he has no idea what happened in the second half.
Yeah, he doesn't. But he'll be able to talk a little bit to what I'm about to say. So with one vote, I think was our barometer in the midfield, had 43 disposals and 1 goal. And, this is what I referred to before with just you might look at the stats and think he was clearly best on. He was phenomenal. Don't get me wrong, like a great performance. But one vote for the weekend was Dom Sheed.
Did he kick a goal with his right boot?
Yeah, he did, I think.
Wow.
So he's very competent on the other side of the body. But yeah, a great performance and can't be understated the amount of footy that he racks up and gets and uses it very well. So he gets the 1 vote. 2 votes this week. It is difficult for Dom Sheed to do what he does without the help of this man, Nick Naitanui. Again, he had 20 disposals, 40 hit-outs. He's jumped into the top 5 in the comp for clearances. He is just
played angry.
Yeah, he did.
He did. I liked it.
Yeah, he does often, and I think it might be a little bit of something to do with Essendon, maybe the Zach Merritts, bringing that one back up again. But the way he puts his presence on the game, he honestly is. I still think one of the most valuable players in the competition when he gets going. But yeah, and he tried the start of the last quarter. If you go back and watch it, he does everything he can possible to get us the momentum back on our side and get us over the top. So he was a very, very impressive performance from Nick.
So 1-2 Dom Sheed, Nick Nat, 2 to Nick Nat. I'm intrigued by the 3.
3 votes, and this is if anyone watched the game, would you like to have Goss is over there doing the spoil from behind. Tom Barrass.
Outstanding.
Tom Barrass, that's one of the best games.
Didn't get the love he deserved from other sections of the media. I don't know what they were looking at. No, he doesn't.
And this is where the Hammer Time votes is a step above because we view all assets of the game, all aspects of the game. He was phenomenal. One of the best games I've seen TB play. He's so strong. He's so determined. He hates losing. A lot of the time you sort of ask, do they love winning or do they hate losing? TB's one of the guys I think that hates losing, so will just do anything he can to not lose his contests. He's strong, he's committed. He had, I can't remember how many spoils he had, but just big key spoils. They were getting it going. They had so many entries inside 50. He was under the pump the whole game. Gov out, he's undersized, and he was just phenomenal. I thought that was one of the best games I've seen TB play. So TB gets the 3 votes.
And if Oscar was here, he'd go with an honourable mention, of course.
Yes, he would.
Would you like to give the honourable mention, or can I give it from a...
You can give it from a
commentary box point of view.
You can. Tom Cole, yeah. Another great example of just a bloke who is, under the weight of entries that they had, and, we're undersized in the back line, we've got a few injuries, but he was, again, phenomenal.
All right, we'll go with Tom Cole.
Coley.
So how does the leaderboard look at this stage now?
There is that's shaking things up a little bit. The old leaderboard.
Can't be injured. You can't be injured.
Unfortunately, Oscar, you can't be injured. So we've had 1 vote J.K. Shuey, Rotham, Hearn. 2 votes McGovern, Cripps. 3 votes Petruccelli, Redden, Archie. 4 votes Jack Darling. Sheed has moved himself up to 5 votes.
Nice.
6 votes is now vacant. 7 votes for Oscar Allen and Andrew Gaff. 8 votes for Tim Kelly and Nick Naitanui, and a new leader on 9 votes with 3 3-vote games is Tom Barrass.
It's all or nothing with the big TB.
It is, and, if he keeps doing that, he might put together a Dusty Martin 2017 performance and run away with it. But, no, he was phenomenal, and that, I think, is a pretty good reflection of the year we've had so far.
Well, we've done Coast to Coast without Oscar Allen, who's the star of the show, but the man, the engine room behind it, Hammer, you've been absolutely outstanding. Good luck against Claremont.
Thank you very much.
Good luck to our Eagles against... how did social media go, apart from Oscar copping a fair bit? Did you get much...
Yeah, I did get a little bit of socials this week. A few of them are for Oscar, so we will bring it back. I had one from James Thompson. Hey Hammer, any chance you can shed a bit of light into specific roles and what they are for certain games, i.e. what was your role in the St Kilda game? That's a good question, James, and we will get Ozzy back on next week to have a little chat about that for specific roles. In terms of my role for the St Kilda game, I was the morale manager. We went in very undermanned, and I was pulled off the bench, very deep into the bench, I might add, to lift the spirits of the boys in what was one of the club's greatest wins in history.
It was officially one of the great wins.
Yeah, officially one of the great wins. Now, you can't put that down to me. I'm not putting it down to me, certainly. But, I'm 1 from 1 in my AFL career,
How much did we
James.
win by? How much did we win by?
I can't even remember. Honestly, can't even remember.
I remember your set shot.
I remember my set shot. That's neither here nor there, Goss. My role in the team wasn't to kick a goal that day. It was to make sure that the boys were energised enough to win the game of football, which we did. So, James, thank you very much for that tremendous question. We have had a couple more, but I will save them for Rothy next week. For Oz next week.
We will have Ozzy back up and about. He does apologise. He was up and down, and the lateness of the podcast was based around his fitness, but he's failed at the fitness test to get up for Coast
Failed
to
at the
Coast.
last hurdle.
He did. Well done, Hammer. Nice work by you. Good luck on the weekend. Good luck to our boys on their trip to Sydney to take on Carlton. Thanks to West Coast Health and High Performance. This has been Coast to Coast.
Thank you very much.